Hey everyone, welcome back. We all want to figure out what makes a truly great manager right. Well, today we're going to unpack some seriously interesting research.
Yeah, this is big stuff.
It really is. It's from Gallup.
Huge study.
Massive. Something like 24 companies, 12 industries. We're talking over 100,000 employees.
Yeah.
So this isn't just, someone's opinion. This is hard data.
Yeah, and it really challenges a lot of the conventional wisdom about what makes a great manager. We're not talking about the typical, tips and tricks here. We're getting into some really surprising factors.
Yeah, for sure.
That set the best apart from the rest.
Okay, so let's jump right in. I think we tend to think of managers as the ones with all the control, right?
Right.
Calling all the shots. But according to this Gallup research, that's not how the best managers see their role at all.
No, not at all. They don't see themselves as micromanaging or dictating. It's more about guiding
Okay.
and developing the talent that's already there.
So it's almost like they're a director and
It is.
they've cast the film, they've got the right people in the right roles, and then
Right.
everything kind of flows from there.
Exactly.
Okay. So speaking of talent, I've always heard everyone has unlimited potential, but it sounds like maybe the best managers don't exactly buy into that. So how do they view talent?
Well, they have a very specific definition of it. They don't just see it as skills or knowledge. They see it as this recurring pattern of thought or feeling or behavior that can be productively applied. So it's really more about, how someone naturally thinks and approaches work, their sort of unique way of looking at the world.
So it's not about being a jack of all trades. It's about having this
It's not a jack of all trades. It's having a specific strength.
specific strength. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this unique perspective that really fits into a particular role.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And, to illustrate this, the study talks about these exceptional housekeepers at a hotel chain. And what set these people apart wasn't, just their cleaning skills. It was their perspective on the job. So they saw their work as this opportunity to create a specific experience for guests.
What do you mean by that?
So, they would do things like meticulously clean the ceiling fan because they knew that was the first thing a guest would see when they lie down on the bed. Or they would arrange children's toys thoughtfully, almost like setting up a tea party. So they understood the impact their work had on the guest's overall experience.
So they weren't just cleaning a room, they were curating an experience.
Exactly.
That's cool. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's how you approach it, not just the task itself.
And that's the talent piece. And the key takeaway is that talent is not rare. But it is unique, so everyone has something valuable to contribute if we can just find the right role for them.
Okay, so once a manager has spotted someone's talent, then how do they actually manage that person to kind of bring out their best? Is there a secret formula?
Well, one of the most surprising findings from this research was that great managers actually spend more time with their top performers.
Really? More than the people who are struggling?
More time with their top performers rather than trying to fix the bottom rung.
That's interesting. Seems counterintuitive. I mean, aren't you kind of demotivating people if you're not giving them attention if they're struggling?
It might seem that way, but it's really about thinking about maximizing your impact.
Okay.
Time and resources are limited, so focusing on your strongest assets, that yields the highest return on investment.
So it's kind of like making the most of everyone's strengths rather than trying to get everyone to be good at everything.
Exactly. It's like, if you have a sports coach, they're going to focus on that star athlete's strengths. They're going to help them excel even further, not try to make them, sort of well-rounded but mediocre at everything.
Right. So you're playing to their strengths, not trying to eliminate every weakness.
Right. And this actually brings us to another really interesting finding, which is that, we always hear, treat others the way you want to be treated.
Right. The golden rule.
The golden rule. But great managers don't believe in treating everyone the same. In fact, they actively challenge that idea.
Okay. I'm a bit confused. Does that mean they're not nice to people?
No, not at all.
Okay.
It's that they're incredibly attuned to individual needs
Okay.
and preferences. They understand that what motivates one person might demotivate another, and they really take the time to figure that out. So some people thrive on very minimal supervision, while others need regular encouragement and feedback.
Right. So you have to understand each person's sort of operating system.
Exactly.
And not try to put them all in the same box.
You can't treat them all the same way. It's like being a
Right.
gardener, right?
Yeah.
You can't water a cactus the same way you water a delicate orchid.
Right. You're going to kill one.
You're going to kill one of them.
Right.
You've got to approach each one differently if you want them to thrive.
I like that. That's a good analogy.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're embracing individuality.
Embracing individuality, absolutely.
And working with strengths and weaknesses.
To bring out the best in everyone.
Okay, so speaking of weaknesses, even the most talented people, I mean, nobody's perfect, right? So how do these great managers deal with those? Do they try to just get rid of weaknesses entirely?
Well, they don't focus on fixing weaknesses.
Okay.
They manage around them.
Interesting. What do you mean by that?
So, they might partner individuals with complementary skills.
Okay.
So create a sort of a dynamic duo where each person's strengths compensate for the other person's weaknesses.
So they're basically building a team where those weaknesses kind of
Exactly.
don't matter as much.
They balance each other out.
Yeah, okay.
Right. They recognize that the team is stronger when its members complement each other rather than trying to make everyone a carbon copy.
So it's like, those classic business partnerships like Disney, Hewlett-Packard, Microsoft.
Yeah.
They weren't built on people who had the same skill sets. It was individuals who brought different strengths to the table.
Exactly.
Okay. So, I mean, all of this kind of begs the question, how do you even find these talented people? I mean, it's not like there's a talent section on a resume.
It's true. And, these great managers, they really are masters at recognizing talent. But it's not like a formula or anything. What they do is they very closely observe their top performers. They study the patterns, the traits, the perspectives that drive success in specific roles.
So they really become experts at kind of?
They're experts at identifying those qualities.
Yeah.
Even in people who might not have a lot of experience. Okay. So, imagine a manager looking to hire, let's say, a new marketer. They've spent years observing their top marketing team members, and they notice some common threads. They have this knack for identifying what makes a product great. They generate creative ideas, and they just relentlessly execute those ideas. So when they're interviewing, they're not just looking at resumes, they're actively searching for those specific qualities.
So they're looking for the underlying
pattern.
Pattern, yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, so even an intern who doesn't have a lot of experience,
Exactly.
if they're showing those key characteristics,
Exactly.
they could stand out.
That's how great managers build these high-performing teams. They don't just hire for skills, they hire for talent. And they create an environment where those talents can flourish and where everyone can contribute their unique strengths to achieve those amazing results.
That's so interesting. But I think we've covered a lot here, and our listeners, might need to kind of process all of this. So why don't we take a quick break and come back to this conversation in a few minutes?
As we've been talking about, all these elements of great management, it kind of occurs to me that we often focus on the talents of the individual contributors. But this idea of talent applies just as much to managers themselves.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought. So are you saying that managing effectively, especially in the way that we've been talking about, is actually like a talent in itself?
Oh, absolutely. It's not about being born a manager or anything, but some people naturally have qualities that lend themselves to exceptional leadership. Things like empathy, strategic thinking, the ability to inspire and motivate others. And while those traits can be developed, to some extent, some people just have a natural inclination toward them.
So identifying and nurturing those management talents within an organization is just as crucial as recognizing talent in other roles.
It's absolutely crucial. And it goes back to that idea of putting people in the right roles. Just because someone excels in one area doesn't automatically mean they're going to be a good manager. Promoting someone solely on their individual performance, that can really backfire if they don't have the aptitude for leadership.
Oh, yeah. I've seen that happen. You get a brilliant engineer gets promoted to management, and they're struggling. They just don't have those people skills or the strategic vision to lead effectively.
It's like miscasting a role in a movie.
Exactly, yeah.
And it really highlights the importance of looking beyond past performance when you're making those promotion decisions. Great managers recognize that leadership is a distinct skill set.
Yeah.
And they look for people who demonstrate those talents, even if they don't have formal management experience.
So how can organizations do a better job of kind of identifying and developing these future leaders?
Well, one key is creating opportunities for employees to, showcase their leadership potential outside of their core roles.
Okay.
So, leading projects, mentoring others, taking on more responsibility within their teams. It's about providing a space for them to kind of flex those leadership muscles in a safe and supportive environment.
So the managers can observe them in action
Exactly.
and see if they actually have the talents.
And then once those future leaders are identified, organizations can, help them develop those skills even further through mentorship.
Okay.
So pairing up and coming leaders with, more experienced managers who can, provide guidance and support.
Like, it's almost like having a leadership coach.
Yeah.
Helping you kind of navigate those challenges.
It doesn't even have to be a formal program or anything. It's about fostering a culture of open communication and feedback where people feel comfortable seeking advice from their managers, their peers.
Right. It's part of the company culture. It's not just a training.
And it goes back to, that point about spending time with top performers.
Right.
That principle applies to developing future leaders as well.
So managers should be investing their time coaching and mentoring those with leadership potential, just like they would with their top individual contributor.
Absolutely. So regular one-on-one meetings, opportunities to lead projects, shadowing more experienced managers to kind of observe their leadership style. It's about making leadership development a priority, not an afterthought.
So it sounds like this approach creates a kind of a pipeline of talented individuals who are ready to step into those leadership roles when they become available.
Exactly. It strengthens the overall leadership capacity of the organization. And, it shows employees that their growth and development are valued, which leads to a more engaged, motivated workforce.
Like a positive feedback loop.
Yeah, everyone wins.
Yeah. Okay. Now, I think, while we're talking about leadership development, we should touch on something that's often overlooked, which is the importance of self-awareness in becoming a great manager.
It's so crucial and often overlooked. Great managers have a really deep understanding of their own strengths, weaknesses, values, motivations. They're aware of how their personality and leadership style impacts others. And they really strive to improve their self-awareness through reflection, feedback, a willingness to learn and grow.
So it's not just about understanding the people you're managing. It's about understanding yourself.
Understanding yourself, yeah.
And how you show up as a leader.
Exactly. And that can be challenging.
Right.
It requires an honesty and a vulnerability that not everyone's comfortable with. It means acknowledging your blind spots, your biases, areas where you need to improve.
Yeah, it's always easier to focus on other people's weaknesses than to kind of confront our own.
It's true. But the best managers, they embrace that challenge because they understand that self-awareness is really the foundation of effective leadership. It allows them to build stronger relationships, communicate more effectively, just create a more positive and productive work environment.
So how can someone develop greater self-awareness as a leader?
Well, seeking feedback from others is crucial. That could involve 360-degree feedback from peers, direct reports, even superiors. Really getting that holistic view of how you're perceived. And it's not just about asking for feedback. It's being open to receiving it, even if it's not always positive. Great managers see feedback as a gift, an opportunity to learn and grow.
So it's kind of having that growth mindset.
Getting that growth mindset.
You can always improve.
Self-awareness is a journey, not a destination. It's something you're constantly working on and refining throughout your career.
So let's recap for a second. We've covered the importance of identifying and nurturing that management talent. We talked about the role of self-awareness.
Right.
And the significance of feedback and mentorship in leadership development.
And all of these things are interconnected, Recognizing the unique talents of individuals, including those with leadership potential, is really the key to creating a thriving organization. Developing those talents through, mentorship, coaching, a culture of feedback that helps people reach their full potential. And it all starts with great managers who are, really committed to developing themselves and the people around them.
It's like we're building this blueprint for a more effective and more fulfilling work environment.
And this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's still so much more to uncover about great management.
Yeah, I think that's right. And maybe we should take another pause here to give our listeners a chance to reflect on some of these ideas. What do you think?
That sounds good to me. Let's pick this back up in just a moment.
Okay, so as we kind of wrap up this exploration of what makes a great manager, I think one thing that keeps coming to mind for me is trust. It feels like it's really the foundation for everything we've been talking about.
It really is. You just can't have a high-performing team without that that strong foundation of trust between the manager and the team. But, what does that actually look like in practice?
Yeah, that's a good question. Like, how does trust actually kind of show up in those day-to-day interactions?
Well, I think it all starts with open and honest communication.
Hmm.
So great managers, they cultivate this environment where people feel comfortable sharing their ideas, voicing their concerns, even admitting when they've made a mistake without fear of being judged or, facing negative repercussions.
So it's about creating a psychologically safe space for people to be themselves.
Exactly.
To take risks and learn.
And that, that feeling of safety is so important for fostering innovation and creativity. When people feel empowered to experiment, try new things, push boundaries without that fear of being penalized if they make a mistake, they're so much more likely to come up with those, groundbreaking ideas.
Makes sense. You're not going to, think outside the box if you're walking on eggshells all the time.
Right, exactly. And trust also involves, giving people autonomy and ownership over their work.
Mm-hmm.
So great managers don't micromanage. They set clear expectations. They provide the necessary resources and support. And then they step back and allow their team members to really use their expertise, their judgment.
They empower them.
Exactly.
To kind of take ownership of the work and make decisions.
And that trust is a two-way street.
Mm-hmm.
Great managers also show trust in their team members by believing in their capabilities and supporting their decisions, even when, maybe they don't agree with every single choice.
So it's a reciprocal relationship, right?
It is. The manager trusts the team and the team trusts the manager. Yeah. And that mutual trust creates this sense of shared responsibility and accountability, which is essential for high performance,
Mm-hmm.
Everyone is rowing in the same direction, working collaboratively towards that common goal.
I like the rowing analogy.
Yeah.
And it's so motivating, too, when you feel like you're all part of something.
Absolutely. When people feel like they're part of something bigger than themselves, they're contributing to something meaningful. They're going to go above and beyond. They're going to put in their best effort.
So trust isn't just like a nice to have in a workplace.
Yeah.
It's actually like a driver of performance.
It's fundamental to both performance and innovation.
Yeah. Okay, so how can managers actually build this kind of trust? I mean, it doesn't just happen overnight.
It doesn't. And it starts with the manager being authentic and vulnerable themselves. Yeah. So great managers, they aren't afraid to admit when they've made a mistake. They'll share their own struggles. They'll ask for help when they need it. They lead by example. They show their team that it's okay to be human, to have weaknesses, to rely on each other for support.
So it's actions, not just words.
It's about showing, not just telling.
Yeah.
And it also involves active listening, truly valuing your team members' perspectives, taking their concerns seriously, demonstrating that you genuinely trust and respect them.
Making them feel heard.
Making them feel heard and understood, exactly. And then transparency and communication is also so vital, sharing information openly and honestly, even when it's difficult. Being upfront about challenges, explaining your decisions and the reasoning behind them.
It's like you're not hiding anything, you're being straight up with them.
Exactly, and that builds trust.
Yeah.
So to bring it all together, we've talked about trust. We've talked about how it encourages open communication, it empowers individuals, and it creates that sense of shared purpose and accountability. And ultimately, great managers create this environment where people feel valued, respected, and supported. They trust their team members. They empower them to do their best work. And that leads to, higher performance, greater innovation, and a more fulfilling work experience for everyone involved.
That's such a great point. And I think, to kind of wrap up this whole conversation we've covered so much. We started with talking about this kind of unconventional definition of talent. We looked at those surprising strategies that exceptional managers use. We talked about the importance of trust in building a high-performing team. It's like I have this whole new perspective on what it means to be a good manager.
Yeah, and I think, the most important takeaway is that great management isn't about rigidly following a set of rules or formulas.
Yeah.
It's about understanding people, recognizing their unique strengths, and then creating that environment where those strengths can really shine.
It's about human connection. It's about empathy. It's about trust.
Well said. And remember, this is a journey, not a destination.
Mm-hmm.
We can all continue to, strive to be better managers, to create more supportive and fulfilling work environments for ourselves and for the people we work with.
Well, that's a great point to end on. And on that note, I think we've reached the end of our exploration into these fascinating world of, what makes a great manager. I hope you found it as insightful as I have. And, remember, the best managers are lifelong learners, always looking to grow and improve. So keep exploring, keep experimenting, keep striving to create a more positive and productive workplace for everyone. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.